Economic differences between North and South. In searching for early causes of the American Civil War, many historians point to the dramatic differences between the northern and southern colonies in the late 17th and 18th centuries. During this period, each region developed a distinctive identity that would drastically affect the manner with which it participated in the American economy. For the South, this meant agricultural production, while for the North, this meant a rapid collection of resources for the purpose of industrial manufacturing. During the colonial era, the colonies in North America have differed in how they survived economically from the southern colonies, mainly due to the climate differences. In the South, the climate was warm, which allowed them to farm year-round. Yet, in the North, people could only farm limited kinds of crops during the summer because of the extremely cold winters and the poor and rocky farmland. Therefore, the Northerners were not completely dependent on farming and had to find alternatives to flourish, which mainly involved finding natural resources that did not require farming, such as fish, whales, certain types of trees, and animals, while the Southerners basically continued with the Native American ways by living off of the land. Though the South is historically known for its cotton production, it primarily produced tobacco as its main crop during the colonial years. The rich soil and mild winters allowed this crop to be grown throughout the entire year, quickly making the southern colonies the principal supplier of tobacco in the English Empire. Given the low cost and low risk of establishing a farm in the South, this region quickly became dominated by both small farms and enormous plantations. In contrast, although the northern colonies also had many farms, these were relatively few in number and never competed with the southern markets such as tobacco. Instead, the North focused on trade and manufacturing, building ships to transport southern harvests and advancing industries such as light machinery and the advanced production of textiles. Because starting businesses like these were more risky than farming in the South, the northern economy lagged behind until enough capital could be built for more investments. The labor forces in the South and North were fundamentally different as well. In the agrarian South, larger workforces brought the potency for larger harvests and greater profits. As a result, plantation owners sought the cheapest form of labor possible and usually settled on quantities of Negro slaves, who could be easily acquired at low price through a booming British slave trade. Besides, since Eli Whitney's 1793 invention of the cotton gin, the cotton industry became a lucrative field for Southern planters and farmers. Utilizing slave labor, cotton planters and farmers could cut costs as they produced cotton for sale to other regions and for export to England. In exchange, Southern farmers and planters purchased manufactured goods from the North, food items from the West, and imported luxuries like European designer clothes and furniture from England. In the North, however, workers were mobile and active, and labor was expensive, though the influx of immigrants from Europe and Asia provided competition in the labor markets, which kept wages from growing too quickly. Northern businessmen used indentured servants rather than slaves when they needed cheap labor. Interestingly, the indentured servants quickly earned their freedom and began small businesses of their own, helping to shape the complexion of the northern colonies as an ambitious and industrial economy. The other crucial economic issue that divided the North from the South was that of tariffs, taxes placed on imported goods, the money from which would go to the government. Southerners generally favored low tariffs because this kept the cost of imported goods low, which was important in the South's import-oriented economy. Southern planters and farmers were concerned that high tariffs might make their European trading partners, primarily British, raise prices on manufactured goods imported by the South in order to maintain a profit on trade. In the North, however, high tariffs were viewed favorably because such tariffs would protect domestic industry from foreign competition by making imported goods more expensive. In that way, goods produced in the North would seem relatively cheap, and Americans would want to buy American goods instead of European items.